Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit and talk about different whiskies in the surroundings of our North London allotment, and as you can see, you join me here today on what is an absolutely beautiful afternoon. We're going through a bit of a cold snap here, well, cold for London anyway. So it's barely been above freezing for the last 4 or 5 days. We've had a little bit of snow, which is quite unusual for London actually, and I know some of you sitting in Scandinavia or North America or Canada will probably look at this dusting of snow around me and wonder what all the fuss is about, but yeah, it's just made it sort of lovely to come up here, get out the house, just really to sort of check that everything is okay sort of in these cold conditions, particularly the things that I've been planting for the spring that have been growing over the winter. But of course I am here for the Allotment Dram, and I am here to talk about whiskey. So what is it today, I hear you ask? Well, it's very exciting. It's a brand new product actually, almost the first new product of 2021, and the sample literally came at the beginning of the week, so very exciting to talk about it. And I literally only have the sample. Here we are. It's the, oh look, there's all the snow sort of stuck around it, but it is the Glendronach Cask Strength Batch number 9, and this is an annual bottling from the East Highland distillery of Glendronach, very well known for their use of the old sherry casks, of course. And this one normally comes out sort of late summer time each year, but this one has been a little bit delayed because of the COVID pandemic, so it's coming out now. So hopefully, it's in limited numbers, but going sort of different markets around the world. And what is the strength actually? 59.4. So hopefully you'll find it normally goes pretty quickly, so if you like the sound of it, or you've been kind of following the series over the last sort of decade or so, then I'd recommend snapping it up quite quickly. But what can I tell you about Glendronach? As I said, it's in the East Highlands. The nearest town is a place called Huntly, and it's founded in 1826 by a gentleman called James Allardyce, and very well known for its use of the old sherry casks. So he was almost one of the first people to strategically go out there and source these types of casks to mature his particular style of single malt that he was making, which is this quite sort of robust, oily, quite heavy single malt. And this style matures very well in the old sherry cask. So this is what this is. It's really all that the distillery do now, is the sherry cask matured whiskies. And this is actually a mix of 2 different types of sherry cask. That's previously had Oloroso sherry, so sort of medium dryish style of sherry, but also Pedro Jimenez sherry, which is this sweet dessert style, almost quite syrupy style of sherry. And 2 different sizes of these casks as well. So you've got a puncheon, which is 500 litres, and you've also got the butt, which is also 500 litres, but just slightly more elongated. So a puncheon slightly shorter and fatter, and a butt so slightly more elongated shape, but both holding 500 litres, so big massive casks really. But certainly it's around the freezing mark now, so I think I really should get on and just sort of have a taste of this. I'm going to try and do this without taking my gloves off, which in this sort of weather is not recommended. So yep, I've actually managed it. So here we are. I'll just pop that down. Look at that. You've got a lovely deep amber colour there. Just looks amazing. Smells amazing too. It also, sometimes in sort of cold weather you can sometimes get a very closed nose on a whiskey, so the aromas don't really come out because it's quite cold. So I might have to warm this up a bit, but I'm getting very rich, robust aromas here. Got sweet, got a real sort of black treacle, molasses, brown sugar, and then a lot of dark dried fruits, so like raisin, definitely some sultana, and some, yeah, almost like sort of dried figs or dates or something like that in there as well. A good pinch of baking spice. So what you've got here is, as I said, you've got these two types of sherry, but also two types of size of cask, but a mix of different ages here. So these have been married together by Rachel Barry, Dr. Rachel Barry, the master blender for Glendronach, and she has put in definitely some older whiskies in there. That's giving it this sort of depth, complexity and structure, and then the younger whiskies giving it this sort of vibrancy and punch, almost like a freshness, which you rarely get with these big heavy sherried whiskies. So let's have a taste. Wow, that feels, it's really viscous, oily, but sweet. It's got this fabulous sort of set of initial flavors, and it's this sort of black treacle, molasses, maybe a bit of golden syrup in there as well, and this is followed by these dried fruits. So you've got these sort of dark dried fruits, so raisins and the fig as well coming through. And then it's quite nutty, so I was getting just not even really a suggestion of that on the nose, maybe because it's quite cold, but quite nutty, so like walnuts or toasted hazelnuts, something like that. Definitely, let's have another taste. It's got multi layers here. So you've got then some spices, cinnamon, there's a bit of clove, it's a bit peppery as well. That's really the only suggestion, that you've got this sort of high ABV, this 59.4% ABV, and yeah, it's just coming through in this sort of pepperiness. Otherwise it's, I have to say, it's quite dangerously drinkable actually, for that strength. But yeah, and then right in the background there's in fact, you know, rarely to have a third taste, but here we go. Yeah, just the final layer is this wonderful savoury note. It's like an old leather, or like a tobacco leaf in a cigar, something like that. Absolutely wonderful. What a great, as I say, I think it's the first new whiskey release that we've tried for this year, and you know, very, very good indeed. It almost goes back to the last couple, batch 7 and 8 have been a bit more along the butterscotch, toffee sort of route, whereas this, and it quite wrongly in our view, created a bit of criticism from die-hard Glendronach fans, but this harks back to the earlier batches of this cask strength, which had these big heavy sherry cask sort of aspects to them. They're just wonderful, and around £70 as well. So, you know, for, okay, it's no age statement, but for limited edition sherry cask, you know, that sort of high strength as well, it seems quite good. I'm sure they probably could have charged a little bit more than that, but yeah, so delicious, so mouth coating and warming on a day like this, and so full of these rich, sweet, and then savoury, and then spicy flavours. It's such a lovely whiskey. So from myself and the Glendronach Cask Strength Batch number 9, we will bid you farewell and say thanks for watching. Hope you're keeping warm wherever you are, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.